Hello and welcome to my video review of CloudyFlex 2.0. As you can see here, this is Android 4.4.2. It is the LG G Flex ROM, the official KitKat version that's been ported over to work on the LG G2. This is the first one that I know that's come out that's based on the a port from the G Flex official KitKat that is out. And I am using the Furnace kernel during this video. Zoom out here, adjust it. There we go. A few things to talk about here. You might ask yourself, well, why do you want to use this ROM? Well, one would be that you're a fan of this black, this darker theme here. Originally, the backstory on that is that the G Flex has an AMOLED panel. These blacks mean pixel off, so that translates into some kind of power savings. Whether it be significant or not, but there's some power savings there when the pixels are turned off and they're black. However, even though you don't get that same power savings with the LCD with the blacks, I do find it attractive. I like it. It's something different than all the whites that you're getting now with the new KitKat. And really, I just think it looks nice. I'm a fan. Other things you might want with a Flex-based ROM, of course, there have been ports made of this onto other LG-based ROMs, but this is where it came from. This is where the swing lock screen, the Flex lock screen came from. And gimmicky or not, it's attractive. I'd love to learn how to manipulate this. I'd love to learn how to, if I would learn how to code, to manipulate this, allow you to make custom wallpapers that also adjust the gyroscope the way the G Flex one does, as well as add lock screen notifications over it. The clock is just beautiful. The way the numbers fall off. A lot of attention was made to this lock screen that came with this phone, the LG G Flex first, and then was ported out to other phones, or I'm sorry, other ROMs. But I do think it's beautiful, gimmicky or not. Other than that, the ability to natively hide your navigation bar down here in applications. One thing to note is that obviously you see I have 5 icons down on my navigation bar. This means I'm using G2 exposed, which means that you lose that native ability to set it up in your settings. However, if you're using app settings, which if you're using G2 exposed, obviously using exposed will not have app settings, you can change applications to use immersive mode, and I'll show you that later. Another thing about the G Flex ROM here is that because Cloudy made it, he's included the ability to natively get rid of your volume and brightness slider without having to do what I just did there. You just uncheck it and it goes away, recheck it, it comes back. Of course, I'm using G2 exposed, so I've enabled this ability, but before I even did that, I was at least able to get rid of them and get that real estate back on my notification panel. Other things are art. Art is supported in this ROM. Other than that, one thing that you see a lot of people asking about is the camera. The camera is a direct port. I think the only thing that was added to it, and it might even be on the G Flex KitKat, is the 120 frame per second 720p video capabilities. Other than that, you're not getting all the magic focus and other things that you're seeing in some of these other camera ports that are brought over here. You have to flash on top of these ROMs, and I didn't do that. I had a lot of testing to do with this ROM anyways. And I did take extra time with it, but I did not mess with flashing a different camera on here. Talking about kernels, I did test the Dr. 87 Simple Kernel version 3 with no OC, and the thing I noticed first and foremost was call quality. Every phone call I made on that ROM was terrible. I couldn't hear the person I was talking to. They couldn't hear me. There was this screeching sound that just wouldn't go away, and I disconnected, rebooted the phone, called again, full bar, same thing. So I reverted back to stock, and the problem went away. I flashed the kernel again just to see if I had bad flash, and the problem came right back on the first phone call. So not sure what was going on there. My phone must not like that kernel, maybe, I don't know. But that was the only problem that I experienced on it. I did not stick with it very long because this is a phone and I use it as a phone. Now we're going on to the Furnace kernel, which is what I'm using right now. This is Furnace kernel 2.0. This is the one that supports KitKat, the most recent one that was released, and it is pretty fluid. However, the stock kernel is fluid too. So the advantage you get is the ability to manipulate your voltages, which is something that I normally do because I find that the phone is more stable And of course, that's usually what I experience in the AOSP ROMs, but I do play around with voltages some. I do underclock when I'm trying to get the best battery results and those things, and so I find Furnace Kernel works really well. We're going to go through the settings here real quick. Of course, your sharing Connect, one of the things that has been posted about is wireless storage. I tested this and I even took a screen capture. It worked for me. I was able to connect from my web browser and see the contents on my phone. I've never actually used the wireless storage before, so I'm not exactly sure what features may or may not be working, but when I enabled it, I followed the instructions. I was able to see the files on my phone. So from that aspect, it did work. Okay, back over here, we go to tethering and network. This is where you'll find your mobile networks and the hotspot. I did not get the hotspot to work. However, I also did not try the fix posted in the Cloudy stock form, page 115, post 1144. Check it out. Give it a shot. I did not try it out yet. Again, I've been very involved, and honestly, this has been a very busy week for me this past week. Extremely busy. It's kind of slowed down my ability to do this. But it has given me some extra time with this ROM too, so that's been nice. If you haven't noticed so far, I'm a fan. This is a great ROM. Also, if this is your first KitKat ROM, this is where you will set your default messaging app. Okay, I did try a couple here. No problems at all, and I didn't make any changes, no APN changes to get SMS or MMS to work. They worked right after the first install. No problem whatsoever. Sounds is where you'll find quiet hours, but other than that, it's just your standard affair of settings. Display. Alright, if you're using G2 exposed, you come down here, front touch buttons, it'll take you to G2 exposed. Okay. One thing to note here, if you're using G2 exposed and you set this up the way I did here, or anyway, rather, and you use G2 exposed to take over your navigation bar, you do need to set your long press back button for split view. Okay, so select it for launch split view, and that will correct the issue that you'll experience where you can't launch split view. Okay. Home screen. You got theme support. Other than that, again, if you've used an LG based ROM, these are all the same things you've come to expect and see. Lock screen, of course, is where you'll be able to select your flex lock screen. I was using the flex lock screen for a long time. I recently switched over to make sure that the standard lock screen worked, you know, changing the wallpaper and using my lock screen notifications, NILs. I had to see my notifications. I like to look at it from the lock screen. I don't like having to take extra steps to slide on the notification slide. Just a preference thing. Okay, but it does work. All of it works. All right. I am hating this case. All right. Multitasking. Right here. You'll see slide aside, which I don't use. Dual window, which is the equivalent of split view, and then split view. Except for that kind of makes it a default where it'll automatically launch it in split view, and that gets annoying to me, so I just use the dual window. And of course down here you'll see I have my exposed preference injector, so I can get to my exposed settings quick and easy without having to actually launch exposed. Alright, let's get to the camera. So I've got some photographs here pulled up for you. I don't know how well these translate. Let me turn this to the side for you. We'll zoom in a little bit, see if we can't get you the best quality here so you can see what we're looking at. Here's some quick photographs I took today just to test. This is standard. This is on normal. We got some great detail. This is exactly what you expect to see from an LG G2 camera. I mean, this has got a great camera, and the application really shows it off. We're going to start over here. This is HDR. Again, you'll notice the colors, the details here in the back. I mean, it does a great job. Over here, this is intelligent auto. I mean, look at the detail here. This is great. The colors look good. The attention to detail. I mean, you kind of fade over here where you got some different light coming in, but I haven't seen a cell phone camera that would be able to successfully capture that and not lose a little bit there where the light changes. And again, this is another intelligent auto. just not in direct sunlight. It's kind of an overcast day, so none of these are in direct sunlight, but you understand what I'm saying. Again, captures really well. I mean, these colors look great. Okay, and then 120 frame per second video. I just took a real quick one, and it's not going to show you on this player. Okay, you have to have a player that supports the 120 frame per second playback. That was brought to my attention before. All right. Let me get this back up here again. To note, the only ROM where I've gotten it to play back natively is in the Cloudy Pro. Even in Cloudy Stock, I've had to have a different player to get the 120 frames per second playback. Now I'm going to show you what I was talking about with G2 settings. Or G2 exposed, okay. Here you've got G2 exposed, and one thing you've noticed here is I have bleed immersive. That is here, and it works no problem. There are some folks in the forums posting it's not working, but I've had no problems. As you can see here, it changes, it works. One more thing I'll show you is the app settings, and where I'd mentioned before about immersive mode and enabling it. I'll show you where I enabled it in the game. Here's Crazy Taxi. I set to 480 DPI, and then your full screen, change it to immersive, hit save, and it will hide the buttons for you. And it worked. Okay, so that's your workaround if you're going to want to customize your buttons, or you customize your nav bar using G2 exposed, so you can still do that. LTE has worked flawlessly on this ROM. I've had no problems with LTE. Free RAM, of course we've been using it for a while here, but I mean, when you clear it out, 0.93 gigs, that's pretty typical. After a whole day of use, at the end of the day, if I try and clear it out, I'll probably hit around 750, 800, you know, but that's not a big deal. It's not a huge deal, still plenty of RAM, and there are those who will say that unused RAM is wasted RAM, and that's fine. That's your perspective on it, and it's true. If you're not using the RAM, I guess it is wasted. All right. The rear notification light, it works. When you get a notification, it stays on for a few seconds and it turns off. I did test ART, however, as I've expressed and as you can see, I prefer to use my LG UI or Optimus UI based ROMs a very specific way, and the only way I can do that is to use exposed. So when I test ART, I test it for a couple hours. Actually, in this case, I think I did only 2 hours almost exactly, because I just couldn't deal with the big style UI. It just doesn't do it for me. This beautiful big screen, everything isn't as crisp, I feel, as it could be. So I did do it for 2 hours, had no problems, no apps crashed on me, and honestly I really didn't see a significant difference between ART and Dalvik on this stock based ROM. I feel like I see more of a difference on the AOSP or CM based ROMs. Again, that's just preference. Let's go to screenshots to show you the benchmarks and battery life. Alright, so this is just showing, there was some folks talking about LTE sticking, and it worked. I was just showing them that it worked. Here is one of my days of battery testing. 9 hours 55 minutes, 35% left. 2 hours 50 minutes of screen on time. This is pretty early in my testing, so we can extrapolate from this, and seeing how we've leveled off here, that we'd probably squeak another hour, maybe an hour and a half of battery life, so that's not bad. Here's what you're gonna get from your first, or where I got from my first benchmark, 17,638. Another day of full testing. This is a typical day of me at work, 18 hours 55 minutes. 3 hours and 41 minutes of screen on time, still 35% battery. So as the ROM sets in, you see the battery life does adjust and it gets better. This is me just showing you the wake clocks during this battery test. Okay. Here's another benchmark. This is on, I believe this is one I did on the Doctor's kernel before I got rid of it. And it was 17,588. This is on Furnace 2.0, 18,083. These aren't the 21,000 plus that you're used to seeing, but I mean, it's there. Multi-photo, okay? Multi-photo, if you install this, doesn't work right now. However, there is a fix. If you look in the forums, there's a downloadable file, and I would link it, but I didn't create it. But just do a search for multi-photo, you'll find it. It's a zip file. And what you'll do is you'll flash the zip file in recovery, okay? And once you do that, then you'll you'll use Root Explorer. In fact, I'll just switch out of here right quick and I'll show you. Go over here to Root Explorer. You'll go into Root Explorer, okay? And we'll scroll down to System. And we'll look over here and Priv Apps and LG. Scroll down, LGW Multi-Photo APK and LGLW Multi-Photo ODEX. Okay, once you've installed it, you'll have these here and you'll have these in the system app directory. The ones in the system app directory are the new ones. So what you'll do is I just renamed the originals. I put a 1 after them. And then I went back into the app, found them in here. Copied them and pasted them into there. It was that easy. Then I rebooted the phone and it worked. Okay, so that error went away and now it works. I'll show you that in a minute. Google Play Music, I continue to get this little caution up here. It'll stop playing. I did it a couple times. However, I showed here that if I hit next, and you'll see it's 633 here, it's 633 there. I mean, I hit next and it works again. The triangle goes away, no problem. So, I mean, it just continues to happen. There's another example, 647, it did it. I hit next, it continued to play. So, I have seen somebody else commenting about that, so I tested it, and I do get where it stops playing occasionally, but it's probably like on average once every 10 or 15 songs. So, another battery test here. We're at 13 hours and 40 minutes off the charger, 2 hours 52 minutes of screen on time. And it's a lot of Google Play Music, 3 hours and 34 minutes of it. So screen was obviously off during that test. Here's another battery drain test, 14 hours and 21 minutes off the charger, 3 hours and 23 minutes of screen on time. And you can see, again, I streamed a lot of Google Play Music. This is just showing that the OTG cables and OTGB USB adapters do work, because somebody commented that they weren't working. I plugged it right up and I used it, no problem. Another battery test here, 14 minutes, 11 minutes off the charger, 2 hours, 44 minutes screen on time. And these are the wake locks. And this shows Netflix working, because there were some users reporting Netflix is not working. Now let's just go here right quick and show you what kind of battery life we're getting today. I've had quite a few reboots as I've been trying to make some adjustments with the phone and getting some backups made, etc. We got 9 hours and 57 minutes of use, which is not accurate. It must have started recording later. 3 hours and 47 minutes of screen on time. I still have 28%. You can extrapolate very easily. I can give another hour of screen on time. That put me at 4 hours and 47 minutes. I could probably easily make it 5 hours, and this is pretty heavy usage. So this is right there for you to see today, my usage. This ROM is very speedy, it's very snappy. The issues experienced are very few and far between. I did generate logcats for the two that I had. One I believe was multi-photo. The other was trying to change an icon, because as you know, in the LG UI, you can change the icons. And this, you cannot. You get the crash. I did, and it relaunches, or it redraws the launcher. Not a big deal. I've already generated a logcat. I've already posted it, so hopefully Cloudy gets a hold of it. GPS is excellent. I've had no problems with GPS. Works just like stock, just the way you like it, just the way you expect it to. Here's your Flex widget. Obviously, this is an ODEX ROM. It works no problem, and I do like it. It's beautiful. It really is. I like this widget a lot. You see me use a clone of it before. I do use TextDroider to change the DPI. At this point it's at 400, that's what you're looking at here. And I do use Advanced Power Menu, which is an exposed module, to be able to reboot to recovery directly from the power menu. A2DP, in my Ford Touch, it worked flawlessly, both text messaging and sending metadata to the head unit. It did it all, no problem, quickly, no time needed, no reboots needed. It didn't have any lockups or hangups or reboot issues at all. And I didn't experience that funky wonky Bluetooth drain that some people were experiencing. Kind of sounds like a blues song. Anyways, and it also works in the Kia Yuvo, which is pretty much to be expected, except for, of course, text messaging, which again is no big surprise. I haven't found a ROM yet that does. I don't even know why the car says it supports it anymore. I did use G2 Expose to adjust this navigation height down here. However, as you can see, it doesn't go all the way to the bottom when you pull down your notification shape. That's what you got to deal with when you change the height on the navigation bar. Not a big deal. Just one thing I wanted to mention. So now what we're going to do while we talk about the form and the developer of this ROM is we're going to do a quick reboot test. So let me go ahead and slide this guy over here, get it ready. Actually, let's turn it off. How about that? We'll power it off first. Alright. Use the wife's G2 here to do the timer. Alright, and away we go. It might have been maybe a second delayed there. So let's talk about the form. This ROM is brought to us by CloudyFA, very talented, very involved developer. I very much like the way he works. I can't say enough good things about the guy. He's very positive, very upbeat, and very involved in his ROMs, and he's got quite a few of them. This form for this ROM is currently at 275 pages as of making this video, at 2,745 posts. It's actually a pretty good boot time for an LG-based ROM. Port anyways, but it's still very good. In the form, even though people are more friendly in LG-based UI forms, in my experience, I do recommend that you search and search and search. Some of the common posts are regarding Netflix if you're an LS980 user, multi-photo wallpaper, which I just told you how to fix, battery life, people commenting on their battery life. You already know it's going to be pretty decent. If it's not, then check your apps. It's got to be something you're running. How to install from stock or from another AOSP or CM based ROM. Those are all things you'll see posted in there. They ask about do they need to install the KitKat baseband, etc. Just search. I promise you that this has been out long enough, and it was beta tested for quite a while first. And grant you, even CloudyFA said that, hey, he's pushing this out already for you guys to use, and he'll do some more bug fixes later. Honestly, the bugs I found are few and far between, so not really a big deal at all. There are some other variants that might experience some different things than I am. I can only speak for what I have, which is the LG G2 D800. This ROM's been rock solid for me. Very, very impressed. So in the links below, of course, are what I've already mentioned, and I will include all of my wallpapers. I keep them in a Dropbox folder, and I continuously update them when I find new ones. So if you see a wallpaper that you like in one of my other videos, go to the link, download it. If you find this video useful, give me a thumbs up. If you have a question, ask. If I didn't cover it in the video, I do keep a backup, a baseline is what I call it, backup, which is a very functional and stable ROM install with minimal apps, and usually it involves no expose, and it does involve, or it's usually on Alvik, that I can revert back to do any testing, so that I can help you. Hope you enjoyed the review.